So today I want to share a bit of insight, information, and some helpful resources on a very important part of your brain known as the Reticular Activating System, RAS for short, RAS. I see her more like the guardian at the gate, right? She's the guardian at the gate of your thoughts, which are very responsible for how you feel, whether or not you take action, your resultant behaviors, and also your beliefs. Because what we do and what we think and feel is absolutely fundamental to our beliefs. So if you're having that feeling, you feel a bit directionless, you're not too sure what you want, everything feels a bit meh, you can't really get excited about anything, you don't really know what's important to you, what's at the core of who you are, it will mean that you have lost touch with your reticular activating system. And she's just gone onto autopilot, just almost like a survival mode. Because this guardian at the gate, I see her stood there with a clipboard, and you meet with her frequently, and you give her direction. You give her like SEO, key phrases of what we're looking for at any given time. I tell a story where, and this is for me is the perfect example of exactly how she works. Earlier in my life, I had a pretty free and easy life, lacked responsibility. I had no intention of ever having a mortgage, ever having children, ever having responsibility. And I used to float around having a right jolly old time, actually. And then I met my lovely partner, and one day we decided, go on then, we'll be parents. And then as soon as I was pregnant, next thing I know, right in my eye line all the time, I can't help but notice all the different pushchairs and prams that are out there. And I'm looking at this. We're stood at a pedestrian crossing. I'm like, that looks like a very good ergonomic design. That looks easily foldable. Have you seen how she's just navigating that with one hand and drinking a coffee with the other? Well, that looks very convenient. Did you see how that one compacted down and went into the back of that car? That looks very easy. All of a sudden, something I never cared about before, ever, 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 is the most important thing that I'm noticing as I'm walking down the street or even driving along, to the point I'd be like driving along and go, whoa, did you see that pushchair? But that cost a bomb. Because then I'm also noticing how much things cost and how much things are systems, because they go with the car seat and they have the flatbed and they have like things that had never ever occurred to me, all of a sudden are right in the center of my mind's eye. And that is because I've had a conversation with my reticular activating system, which went along the lines of, we need to start thinking about pushchairs and prams. I need to think about getting this baby out and about. And so there it is. And I have a million examples of this. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through this, and there's a very short, easy exercise at the end where you can do this. Okay? And work out for yourself. But without consistent input, she's not going to do anything for you. She doesn't think for herself. I say she in my mind. Some of you may know I have a little bit of a tangible environment in my head. So let's think about this in what are we doing on a daily basis that is depriving this RAS of the information that it needs to work well for you, and what we can do to give it the necessary information. So I want you to think about it like this, okay? She's listening to you constantly. She doesn't think for herself. So if you're saying very broad general terms, for example, nothing ever goes right for me, okay, RAS is listening, and she's going to go, right, you heard that, everyone, because she manages everybody in the thought space. Nothing is going right. So therefore, everything that we're doing, can we mark that as wrong? And what will happen is that things that are going well will come under the umbrella of nothing is going right, because you haven't taken the time to separate and go, well, that's working. Well, I like that. Well, that was a good experience, because we have said nothing ever goes right for me. Not only have we used the term nothing and treated this broadly, but we also have a feeling, right, when we're talking about this thought, and she is logging that feeling. She goes, whoa, we feel pretty strongly about this, right? This is not great, right? Everybody, we are low vibe. Are you hearing that? We are low vibe. Everybody function around here, low vibe. What's this doing? Limiting the thoughts and feelings that you're prepared to think and feel. right? You're not going to be in a solutions-based mindset here. And this is where we want to be. This is where we want to be pretty much 80% of the time. Yeah? You can only do that when you feel safe. You can only do that when you feel capable. You can only do that when you feel possible. So we can think about it in this way, right? Okay, think about it like you're training a dog. That if we say, right, dog, danger, danger's everywhere, right? What's the disposition of the dog? It's going to bark at leaves, shadows, the neighbor's cat, okay? And it's just constantly on edge because we're like, oh my God, there's danger everywhere. Everybody on high alert. This is coming through RAS, which is then communicating to all the other parts of your body that goes, everybody, we're on higher alert, okay? Sirens are blaring. You can't think straight. What's happening when a car alarm's going off and you're in the car? You can't think straight. You fumble with your keys. You feel like people are looking at you. It's not a great situation to be. And this is what's happening in your headspace. So think about the difference, right? So you can give her instruction, right? And if you're like me and you actually need to have this like a conversation, RAS, we're looking for possibilities, progress, evidence that I'm growing. Suddenly, the world's going to look a bit different. Okay, and you think about the behavior of the dog, where you instill in that a sense of calm, a sense of capability, a sense of trust. What's the dog going to do then? Right? The dog is going to become confident that it can become curious, that it can explore an environment, that it could possibly be more adventurous. The dog is going to feel like you have their back. The dog is going to feel like you have trust in them. So what would it feel like for you? What would change for you if that's the kind of conversation you were having with yourself? Right? Because it's all filtered through the reticular activating system. This is the absolute epicenter, master station, I've lost the word, control center, that's the word I'm looking for. The control center for your thoughts and your feelings. And these thoughts and feelings, right, they're absolutely intertwined. And they will have an impact, a direct impact on the choices that you make, on how you think and feel about yourself, on whether you do or whether you don't, whether you hold back, whether you go for it, right? It's all being filtered through the reticular activating system. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're going to be right. Okay, famous saying. I think it was the guy who made Ford. So here we go. What can we do on a regular basis? Because here's the thing, we want to develop a practice. Because at the moment, if you are feeling directionless, excuse me, if you're feeling directionless, if you're feeling that you don't know what you want, if you're feeling like you don't know where to go next, you just don't know what choices to make, right? That point of indecision, and it's frustrating, then it's because RAS has no information. She is looking at a blank sheet and she's just surviving. So when we develop a practice of reigniting that conversation, then you're just going to be more familiar with bringing up the kind of things that you can tell her, right? And they can be broad terms like nothing ever works. You can go, everything works out in the end. I like Marie Forleo's little phrase, everything is figure outable. So you can write this down, or you can just bring yourself back to 8.5 minutes and just have this 30 seconds. Ask yourself these questions. And here's something absolutely key. If you ask yourself any question, you will get an answer. So if you think about this from the perspective that the better the question, the better the answer. So if you ask yourself, why am I such an idiot? Well, you're going to get a response. And none of it is going to be helpful. Because what's going to happen is your little minions are going to go into your archives and bring up all of the times you've screwed up. Well, yeah, you're an idiot because you did this, and you're an idiot because you said that, and you're an idiot because you went there when you should have gone there. You're an idiot because you dropped that ball. Ask yourself a question, you're going to get an answer. So make sure that the questions that you're asking yourself are of a good quality. They're going to give you the outcome that you're looking for. Example, right? So these are very broad, easy going. You can go for a walk. You can sit in your room for 10 minutes. Whatever you want to do. Think about, ask yourself the question. Look around your environment and just try and connect with 3 things that feel calm. Now, this might be something that you think of in your imagination, like going out in nature, walking through a nicely lit woodland with some bluebells, sitting in a nice calm space with a good book, a tasty coffee, having your earphones on, listening to a really good podcast. Is it funny? Is it informative? Is it about your favourite topic? You can ask yourself, what are 2 things that make you feel supported, of value? This can be a real hard question for some people. They can really struggle to answer, because generally the people who are finding my content are the people who give. And one of my absolute central roles is helping you find a way to receive. And this could be in time back for yourself, time for self-care, time for space, time to take a breath. It could be in finding a way to re-energize, to breathe in that better energy. It could be to help you raise your vibration so you're feeling higher vibe. What are 2 things that make you feel supported? Let the question linger. Before the response of, well, nobody supports me, well, nothing is supporting me. I'm asking a question here. Find me 2 things that make me feel supported. Hold the space, hold the question. Think of, if you can, just one thing that demonstrates to you, in a way that you feel is genuine, that you're doing somehow, in some way, just a little bit better than last year. One thing. Doesn't matter how big, doesn't matter how small, doesn't matter how insignificant to others. Something that you feel demonstrates that in one way, shape or form, you're a millimetre, up 1%, 0.5%, doing better than you did last year. That's it. Just choose one of those, choose 2 of those, choose all 3, depending on how you're feeling, depending on how much time you've got. Remember to breathe. Remember to let the space exist between question and response. I absolutely guarantee you, ask a question, you'll get an answer. Because here's the thing as well, and I've had this sometimes, I've asked myself a question, and because I'm so committed to a certain identity, particularly sort of at the height of my people-pleasing career, I didn't want the answer. It was uncomfortable to hear the answer. I didn't want to know, because it would sort of contradict a little bit of my identity. It would contradict a little bit of the patterns that I'd be carrying out on a regular basis. But what you're doing here is you're directing your thinking and your feeling. You're building up a practice of ownership and leadership of your thoughts and feelings. Everyone thinks it's, most people think that it's what we do, the actions that we take. But if you want to have sustainable patterns of behaviour, if you want to feel better, because we can all do a good thing and still feel like crap, right? And why do we do the things we want to do? It is because we want to feel a certain way. You want to be rich, you want to be successful, you want to be liked, you want to be valued, you want to feel worthy. You want to feel worthy. You want to feel valued. You want to feel abundant. You want to feel like you got free time. This is the key. Getting into your RAS. There are loads of different questions that you can ask yourself on a regular basis that just keep that bridge open. between who you are physically, who you're presenting to the world, and what's going on inside here, because you can't see really what's inside here, and you can't show anybody what's going on inside here. It is going to come down to you. It really is. It's going to come down to you. And it doesn't mean you're alone in this pursuit, but it does mean that confidence to be the leader, to be the owner of your thoughts and feelings, to have that agency over yourself is so important to your feelings of success. We feel successful. My version of success and your version of success could be very different. I might have it all and still not feel successful, because this is how we are communicating and we are building, or we are reshaping our belief system. Do this as often as you can. Just try and set a reminder, maybe just to ask quality questions, okay, as often as you can in the week. Daily would be preferable, but do you know what? Sometimes we forget. We get over busy, especially if this is a new practice to us. Try and set a little calendar reminder. Take 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes. And it is literally, if you went into your garden and you picked 10 weeds a day for 10 days straight, you could probably do more weeding than if you went in and did 4 hours on one day. Yeah? We have to brush our teeth every day. You will build better sustainable muscles if you go to the gym frequently over a period of time than do one massive HIIT session and then abandon it. It is the frequency. It's not the time spent. It can be 1 minute. It can be 2 minutes. It can be looking at the reminder and going, oh yeah, I care about my thoughts and feelings. I care about the connection that I have to my mental space. That could be enough just to remind you. Because here's the thing, right? It's remembering that connection to the RAS. It never closed. You just stopped using it. Awareness is massive. Just having that awareness that you can manage your thinking and feeling. You could be having a coffee and going, oh yeah, I could just do a little bit of mental agility right now and just kind of ask myself a couple of quality questions. What's my favourite colour? What's my favourite animal? Do I prefer reptiles or insects? Honestly, any question like this which just reconnects you with you, invaluable. So here's the thing. If you're saying, I'm stuck, and you expect to move forward, well, you're giving the wrong instruction. So what can you be saying? Right? I wonder what progress would look like for me right now in this moment. I wonder how I could move forward. Right? Be curious, be adventurous, be that dog, right? That feels confident that you've got your back. Right. So there's plenty to be working with there. And it's little and often. It's not every day. It's not going to fall through, right? If you miss a week, if you miss a month and you come back to it, right? This is remembering. That's what this is. So listen, if this resonated with you, then there's plenty of other videos. Make sure you subscribe to the channel just so that you don't miss it, or just go into the channel and binge it. I just want you to get value out of this. I mainly drop NLP-based videos. I might just have a bit of a rant every now and then. But the idea is that you come here to realize and remember and take stock of how powerful you are. And then to have that ownership over your identity, over your journey. It's not impossible, and it's not hard, and it's not new. And I'm not saying that to make you feel like, oh my God, everybody already knows this. I'm not here to reinvent the wheel. I'm here to share this information in a voice that I've been told and that I know resonates with many. Right? There is nothing that sets you apart from getting that successful outcome. It is determining your version of success. Right? And that's going to come from your ownership, right, of self. If you want to go deeper, there's a link in the comments that's just going to take you to subscribe if you want the newsletter, which takes you to further resources, and just shares some monthly insights. Other than that, whatever you're doing, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to have the conversation. So get in touch, let me know, drop a comment or get in touch. I'm Elaine. This is Recalibrate to Great. You are awesome already. We'll get you back there.